Hi, Professor Rujo Moreno here again to review Learning Objective 1 in Chapter 6. It's about credit. And credit, believe it or not, the word comes from the Latin to believe. Okay, so credit is really about trust because you want to believe that the person is going to keep their promise and pay you back. So, for credit to be understood, it is really about having people believe that when you need a loan, which I know you will during your lifetime, they're going to believe you can pay it back. Okay. So, and there's lots of reasons in which to borrow money, some of which you're doing right now, perhaps borrowing money to go to college. But certainly there are going to be a number of different reasons why you need to borrow money through your lifetime. Certainly to make large purchases, cars and houses, certainly to finance perhaps an emergency that it might have come up, could be medical, could be other. There's going to be reasons why you need to borrow money, and you want those folks to believe, right, that you are trustworthy, you're going to pay it back. There are some improper uses of credit which have people disbelieve that you're good with money and can pay things back. One is just certainly just borrowing money for basic expenses that you should be using cash for. Now, that's different than someone who uses a card to, say, buy their groceries or gasoline because they get cash back and they pay it all. They've budgeted for it, so they pay it all back at the end of the cycle. Well, that's okay. That's reasonable. Matter of fact, they'll pay a discounted, right? The cash back provides a discount for them. So they're actually paying less for their food or less for their gas. But a lot of folks, about a third or more of people who borrow money, particularly on a credit card, keep a balance for a long, long time. And that's not a good thing to do. One of the possible traps is people get into is making a minimum payment. Minimum payments um, are structured to be very low on purpose. It's marketing. It's part of how they get you to be a customer, knowing that you can have $1,000 balance on your credit card and only required to pay them $20 this month. That's a good marketing strategy for the banks. But it's not very good for you, right? As a person who owes it. And a lot of people get into this minimum payment trap. It'll take years and years and years to pay off a debt. And that's part of what Exhibit 6.1 and the story tells you about. Never get into that particular trap for sure, because it will take you years. Why does it take you years? Is because of that minimum payment, the first thing they do is take the interest that you owe them. And then whatever is left over from that minimum payment, they then pay down your balance. So most of what you send them is interest. So there's a very little portion that actually goes to pay the balance back, which is why it just takes forever to pay these things. So don't do minimum payments. Establishing credit is very important. Your book goes over, sort of the 5 C's that is used to evaluate, any credit process for you. But in general, we want to make sure if you're going for a loan, that you can pay it back. I mean, they really are looking for, your ability to pay it back. So having a strong education helps, having a solid work history helps, not having other debts help. Or if you had other debts, you've paid them back, so you have a history of that. That all helps. So that's, and of course, the purposes of why you're borrowing. All of these things are very, very important. Of course, if you have collateral, which is another very important term you're going to be looking at, that helps as well. Okay. There is something in this chapter called the debt safety ratio that is important to understand. Normally, you should, and the debt safety ratio looks at repayment of loans outside of your house. So if you have a mortgage, that loan's not counted, but all the other loans that you have are counted. And they compare that to what you make per month. Okay. And that's how you calculate. And you'll be calculating the debt safety ratio. Here, there's an example here, and it's shown also on this worksheet that shows for this couple, George and Mia Jackson, they have $729 or $39 in minimum payments that they use for debt. They have a $4,100 monthly take-home pay. So when you compare that, that's an 18% debt safety ratio, which is okay. It needs to be definitely under 20, and the lower, the better. Under 10 is even better. So please study this because you'll be asked to do a little analysis as well. Okay, see you soon.